Welcome back to patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon Experience, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, etc., etc. This is College Football Weekly. I skipped last week. Number one, I was tired. Let's just start there. Number two, I was like, let's just wait till the rankings come out Tuesday and then really hit it hard. I thought about doing that today, but there's business to be handled today. So today we're just going to take care of housekeeping. What that means is, you know, head coaching changes and stuff like that. Obviously, the AP and the coaches poll came out today. I have the updated rankings. Not too much change, but we're going to do all rankings on. If you're on Patreon Tuesday night after the college football playoff rankings go live, and if you're on the free feeds, then that will be Wednesday. So we'll go over rankings then, and then we'll touch a little more in depth on the games. I am going to go over the schedule for championship weekend, but let's go ahead and get into the housekeeping. So, obviously, Michigan did beat Ohio State in the game. Very good game, not going to lie. Some people are calling for Ryan Day's job. I think it's a bit early, but he is now 0-3 versus Jim Harbaugh as the head coach of Michigan. Similar situation, a couple years back, Jim Harbaugh could not beat Urban Meyer in the game. So the tables have turned a little bit. I think Michigan is really, really tough. Not to take anything away from Ohio State. Ryan Day's going to have to get a win. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think the game is what cost John Cooper his job at Ohio State and led the way for Jim Tressel. And then Jim Tressel had the luck of going up against, Lloyd Carr on his way out. And then Rich Rodriguez, I don't think he ever beat Jim Tressel. I think Ohio State won like 8 years in a row at one point. Brady Hoke won once as the head coach of Michigan, but that was it. So this is the last time that Michigan won 3 in a row in this rivalry. I went from 7th grade to 8th grade to, I think, freshman year of high school. It was 95 through 97, so that's pretty much... actually 8th grade, 9th grade, and 10th grade. So yeah, it's been a long time since this has happened. So Jim Harbaugh will be on the sidelines for the Big Ten championship game. It is what it is. We are going to take a look at some of the coaching situations. Apparently, so Texas A&M apparently offered the position Saturday night to Mike Stoops of Kentucky, and apparently Stoops was all set. He acknowledged that they had contacted him. He said he's staying at Kentucky. But from my understanding, from those in the know, the Texas A&M fan base got wind of the hire and their response, and I saw it live in living color on social media. They were not happy with that. So they pivoted. Now the job has been offered to Duke head coach Mike Elko. All intents and purposes, it looks like he's going to accept the deal. So, I don't know if he's turned Duke around, and they got to a bowl game last year and this year, and that's not traditional for Duke football. Duke is a basketball school, just like Kansas is a basketball school, and UConn is a basketball school. UCLA, good at football sometimes, good at basketball sometimes. UCLA is like one of those schools that's, pretty even. They've got history on both sides. Way more history in the basketball program than the football program, but they've done their thing on both sides. So this is interesting. Taking that job at Texas A&M, that's a lot of pressure. The crazy thing is, again, they have not won a national championship since my grandmother was born, right? That's a long fucking time. They haven't won a conference championship since I was in high school. That's a long time ago. But for whatever reason, people still think that Texas A&M is this glorious job, and it really isn't. But there has to be much less pressure at Duke. So I don't understand why. Like, what are they going to pay him? Is the squeeze, is the squeeze worth the juice is my question. I don't know if it's going to be worth it to take this job. He's not going to get the kind of buyout that Jimbo Fisher got, because Jimbo Fisher was the head of one of the premier programs in college football, Florida State, and had just come off a national championship win. So I don't think he's not going to get Jimbo Fisher money. And LSU wanted Jimbo Fisher, and that's why Jimbo got that extension and got that buyout of $76 million, and they're going to continue paying him. Even if Jimbo takes any other coaching job, Texas A&M still has to pay off the remainder of that contract. Elko's not getting Jimbo Fisher money. I don't know what the money is going to be. That is going to be a big question, but that's where we are right now. As far as other situations, Utah QB Nate Johnson plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. This comes from Pete Thamel. I would assume this has something to do with Cam Rising saying he's coming back again. Cam Rising is going to be 25 years old. This will be his 7th season. I don't know. I get it. I love football too. And if I played college football, I'm sure I would love it too. And if they kept giving me red shirts and medical years and stuff like that, maybe I'd do the same thing. It's kind of like the Bo Nix thing. I feel like Bo Nix is an NFL prospect, but apparently I'm wrong because I guess the NFL would have come calling by now. So I don't know, but Bo Nix has used up all his eligibility as far as I know. Texas A&M QB Max Johnson has also entered the transfer portal. We'll see what happens there. Vanderbilt QB Ken Sills plans to enter the portal. Who else do we have? Florida tight end Jonathan Odom plans to enter the portal. As far as another coaching situation, Houston has fired head coach Dana Holgorsen. I believe Dana was there for 5 years. He was at West Virginia before Houston, so now the Houston job is open, which is strange because a couple years back, they were on the fringe of getting into the college football playoff. This is very, very strange. I don't know what they think they're going to do or who they're going to get from this, but this is really interesting. Some are saying Dana's a great coordinator, but not a good coach. We shall see. Jeff Lebby of my Oklahoma Sooners is taking the job at Mississippi State. He's going to be the head coach at Mississippi State. So obviously OU is in the need for a new coordinator. I don't know if I don't pick up the phone and call Dana Holgorsen. That'd be interesting. Indiana has fired head coach Tom Allen. Indiana's a basketball school. Point blank period. And they haven't been a great, like, traditional Indiana school, not in quite some time, but they're a basketball school, and they're not a traditional Big Ten football power. So when some of these schools fire their coaches, the first thought in my head is like, what do you think you're going to get in your position? Like, what do you really think you're going to get in your position? So we'll see how that one goes. Let's see. The Jeff Lebby press conference will be Monday night. So I don't know, Oklahoma wide receiver and QB, corner DJ Graham has announced he's going to enter the transfer portal. Yeah, I don't know. I guess some of these guys are going to try to get that much closer to a national championship. I'm not sure. There were reports that Dabo was being considered for the Texas A&M position, so that's very interesting. I wonder what happened there, or if that was just smoke and mirrors and stuff like that, but I guess we will never know. So, rivalry weekend, it was something. I'm just going to say it. Alabama and Auburn, wow. Absolute classic. I don't know if ESPN Classic still does I remember when that channel started, that extension of ESPN, and I remember the kick game where Nebraska, the player falls down and kicks the ball back, and that's how Mizzou loses, and that was an instant ESPN Classic. So I don't know if they're still doing that. I remember they integrated it into NCAA college football for PlayStation, Xbox, etc. If they were still doing that, this is an instant classic. That was a game. That was an amazing game. Some crazy, crazy games. Oregon had their way with Oregon State. I thought it would be closer. Ole Miss takes care of Mississippi State by 17-7 by 10. Texas blew out Texas Tech. They just did not show up at all. Mizzou dog walked Arkansas, man. Arkansas didn't score until I think very late in the third or early in the fourth or something like that. 48-14. Cody Schrader, 217 yards on the ground. He deserves a trip to New York. He should win the Doak Walker Award, if nothing else. If he doesn't get Heisman consideration, he should at least win the Doak Walker. I'm just saying that right now. Penn State 42-0 over Michigan State, but Michigan State has found their head coach. John, what was his name? I can't remember. Oklahoma and TCU. It shouldn't have been this close. And when I tell you the score is 69-45, you're going to be like, that's not that close. Oklahoma was up, I think, 30 something to whatever it was at halftime. It was not close at all. And they let, TCU climb back in the game, and then it became a shootout. Iowa 13, Nebraska 10. I don't know what can be done to fix Nebraska football other than to say they probably should have never left the Big 12. In my honest opinion, they should not have left the Big 12. They should have been one of the schools looking to get back into the Big 12 like Colorado did. But if they thought it was tough already. The Michigans, the Ohio States, the Penn States, et cetera, even Iowa. Wisconsin on some good years. Now they're going to have to play all those teams plus Washington, Oregon, USC when they figure it out, UCLA when they figure it out. It's not getting any easier. It just isn't. So for Nebraska, man, I guess at the time, nobody had the idea that the super conference thing was going to get to the point it is, but here we are. Tulane outlasts UTSA, so they're looking at being one of the strongest group of 5 teams. Miami housed Boston College 45-20. Those were all on Friday night. Then when we get to Saturday, UGA taking care of Georgia Tech. This was close. Georgia only wins this by 8. If you're a Georgia fan going into the SEC title game, I got to tell you, this might scare me. You beat a crosstown rival by 8, and Georgia Tech is not a good football program. So this would scare me. Of course, as I mentioned, Ohio State over Michigan in the game. Washington beats Wazoo by a field goal at the end. Cameron Ward threw for 317 yards. That kid is very talented. Washington hangs on to remain undefeated. Florida really was taking it to Florida State in that annual rivalry game, and it looked like Florida was going to bust everything up and make it easier for the College Football Playoff Committee. If Florida beats Florida State, it just makes the committee's job a little easier, not going to lie. Louisville, unfortunately, lost their rivalry game to Kentucky 38-31. Texas A&M lost to LSU 42-30. Arizona over Arizona State 59-23. Notre Dame over Stanford 56-23. Iowa State outlasts Kansas State in Farmageddon in the Snow Bowl 42-35. Oklahoma State needed overtime to beat BYU 40-34, so they will play Texas in the Big 12 title. Tennessee outlasts Vandy 48-24. North Carolina State beat North Carolina. I don't know what this does to Drake May's draft potential, but what a decline for North Carolina. They were looked at as one of the better teams this year early. Clemson hung on, 16-7 win over South Carolina in the Palmetto Bowl. So Clemson obviously got bowl eligible. They don't look like the Clemson that we're used to, but they've got something to build on. The only problem is Dabo does not want to use the transfer portal. And I would imagine that probably had a lot to do with him. If there really was any consideration of him getting the Texas A&M job, that may have been a huge hang-up. Liberty remains undefeated. They take out UTEP 42-28. Purdue over Indiana. Let's see. Duke over Pitt. UCF over Houston. UCF got bowl eligible, so congrats to them. Houston obviously let go of Dana Holgorsen. What else? There wasn't much else. Northwestern over Illinois 45-43 in a barn burner. Virginia Tech 55-17 over UVA. Virginia Tech, people went out to the field to take pictures after the game, and UVA turned the sprinklers on them. I thought that was actually kind of funny. Wisconsin 28, Minnesota 14. KU 49, Cincinnati 16. Cal over UCLA, wow, 33-7. And Hawaii beats Colorado State. So that was, this week. So looking ahead to conference championship weekend, not going to go too deep into it, but again, we have on Friday night, New Mexico State at Liberty. That's on the CBS Sports Network. Oregon at Washington. The rematch, that's a 7 p.m. kickoff over on ABC in Las Vegas Friday night. That one we don't want to miss. Oregon has one loss, and it's to Washington. If Oregon beats Washington and Texas beats Oklahoma State and Alabama beats Georgia, it's going to get very crazy for the committee because there's going to be a one-loss team in there whether they like it or not, and there actually may be multiple one-loss teams. Oklahoma State versus Texas, 11 a.m. Saturday morning over on ABC. That's in Jerry World in Arlington. Um, Miami of Ohio at Toledo. That's an 11 a.m. kickoff on ESPN. That's at Ford Field. Boise State at UNLV, Allegiant Stadium. That's actually the very next day. So the day after the Pac-12 championship in Las Vegas, we get the Mountain West Conference championship game. Not even a full 24 hours later. I don't know how they're gonna have to go without logos or something because that's a hell of a turnaround time to go from one conference title game to the next, the very next day, very next morning actually. And then the big one, of course, Georgia, Alabama, 3 o'clock CBS at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be one. SMU at Tulane, AAC championship game. That's a 3 o'clock kick over on ABC. Michigan at Iowa State, 7 p.m. kick on Fox. And Louisville at Florida State, 7 p.m. kick over on ABC. That's conference championship weekend for you guys. Of course, as I stated, after the rankings come out Tuesday night and we see where they have everybody, then we'll take a really, really hard look at these games and what they can mean. But anyway, believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and that is my time. You guys have a good one. Peace.